Are you doing it God's way? My brothers and sisters, I don't know if you remember the Frank Sinatra song, I'm Doing It My Way. But every time the Beatitudes come up in our gospel, I think about how Frank Sinatra has really written the opposite of the Beatitudes. Living for all the things of the world, living for our joys and our passions and our ambitions, instead of really living for the dignity that we are made with. And so the Beatitudes for us are essential. Now, in many ways, the Beatitudes are just a recapitulation of the Ten Commandments, but they're written in a moral sense, meaning a rubber hits the road. Here's how you live your life. Here should be the mission statement of your life. So let's look at each of the Beatitudes now in this light. Are we doing it God's way? First, blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. To be poor in spirit means you choose the spiritual over the material. That you choose to be poor in the eyes of the world, to be rich in the eyes of God. It doesn't mean that we don't seek spiritual graces. It doesn't mean that we don't pray, that we choose some kind of supposed poverty in our relationship with God. No, it means that we become spiritual over material. Hence why they are the ones who inherit the kingdom of God, because they've chosen the faith over the world. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. The greatest mourning in this world is mourning over sin. Not just our sin, but the sins of those that we love, the sins of the community, and the way the sins of the community affect the innocent. This is the mourning that the church offers to God every day in the Psalms. And God will comfort that mourning when we realize that those prayers, that anguish was not in vain. Just like Christ dying on the cross was not in vain. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be satisfied. So hunger and thirsting for righteousness means the justice of God, the righteousness of God. To hunger and thirst for that kind of virtue. And here again, my brothers and sisters, we will be satisfied when we allow ourselves to not eat out of the dumpster, but to be purified in the way that we hunger and thirst after true righteousness, not cheap imitations. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. What does it mean to be merciful? To love without seeking return, to love those who can't repay you, to suffer in love for another, and to have pity for them like God has pity on us. And quite frankly, when we are merciful like that is when we are open to receiving God's mercy in our life. Which leads to the next one. Blessed are the clean of heart, for they will see God. See, it's mercy that purifies us in order to have a clean heart. And that's how we see God. And notice, the seeing God isn't just in the future, it's also in the here and now. That is superiority, rejecting temptation and vice and lust, that we're truly able to see God in our lives. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. To be a peacemaker means to bring God's peace from heaven to earth, that the earth will be like heaven. And to be a peacemaker really means that we live in the peace of God. Now, peace means a wholeness, a fullness, not going to pieces, if you will. And to be a peacemaker is seeking that unity, that wholeness for everybody. And of course, they will be children of God, meaning that they are fulfilling what God commands us as His disciples. Blessed are they who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. So to be persecuted because you follow God, theirs will be the kingdom of heaven. We're talking about that martyrdom, whether red or white. But it is willing to take a hit for the kingdom. And quite frankly, willing to have others lash out on us in their anger towards God, but to give it to us so we can offer it to the Father, that they might become freer to truly come to conversion. Blessed are you when they insult you and persecute you and utter every evil against you falsely because of me. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward will be great in heaven. Blessed are you when they have to distort the truth, when they have to make up heinous lies, and maybe many believe that. But rejoice and be glad. Do not let it destroy your peace. And quite frankly, my brothers and sisters, you know you're on the right path when oftentimes the worst suffering in your life is unjust. Means not made by your sin. It's not a consequence of your sin. It's people persecuting you for your goodness. For the goodness that is plain as day, a 3-year-old can understand it. See, this is the key. And for us, my brothers and sisters, this is the summation of the Beatitudes, to rejoice and be glad that we are making these sacrifices, that we are giving up those things that quite frankly keep us from God in order to live for the kingdom. And it is in us being willing to suffer for the sake of the community that leads the community closer to God. Because Jesus died on the cross to show us that he was trustworthy. He died on the cross to show us the effects of our sin. And we are called to do the same in small ways and in great ways. So much of our world thinks that we should be able to protest and cause violence against others to make our point. No, we make our point when we offer that violence to God. When we offer their violence, like Christ on the cross, and we show them that their violence is beneath them, is not the dignity that God has called us to, and quite frankly, is not the blessedness that we're meant to live in this life and in the life to come. So I encourage you to look over the Beatitudes, to reflect on them more, and to look at which one in particular God is truly calling you to work on this week. Because so often, it's in the Beatitudes that we truly find the greatest road to growing in grace. And it's in the Beatitudes that we find the blessing and the beatitude, the happiness that God has for us. God bless you. Magnificat anima mea Dominum. My soul magnifies the Lord.